What's up, Kripple Krew? EDC with DBD, disabled but deadly. And as you can see, we're starting this video off a little different from usual because we're going to kick it off with one of the secret cool features of this knife. So since we're going to get right into it, do me a quick favor and stab that like button and we're going to move on. So this is the Kizer Tomb. And as you can see, the liners are not only skeletonized, but they're actually, well, skeletonized. They are laser cut out in the shape of a skeleton. I think that goes very, very cool with the coffin shape of the Kizer Tomb. And as we put this back together, we're going to talk about this knife a little bit. So, Bradley Diaz is a custom knife maker, and he notes that recently he has been on an EDC kick, designing knives specifically for EDC. There we go. I felt that seat in. And he said that the coffin shape has always intrigued him as a knife handle. You know, typically it's something that you would see on a traditional knife. The gold ones are T8s. So the pocket screws on this are T6. Everything else is a T8. We will use our Comm drivers to put this back together. I'm going to tighten that all the way just yet. Make sure we are all lined up and good to go up here first. I did have a bear of a time getting this pivot out at first because it had been Loctited very tight. We're not going to do that, but we are going to make sure this gets back together nice and tight. So, Bradley Diaz, custom knife maker, started with, on his EDC kick, wanted to make a coffin-shaped knife. And let's double check that real quick. We're gonna I want to see. Yeah, I am not lined up. Let me tighten everything else up. See how tight. Oh, there we go. We're tightening this pivot. Ah, there we go. And it looks like we are centered. Now let's check the action. Oh yeah. So, coffin shape normally seen on a traditional knife. Jack Wolf Knives is one that has been using it on some of theirs recently, but he wanted to bring this to an EDC knife. And with the Kizer Tomb, you are getting a 7.62 inch overall length with a 3.21 inch drop point, nearly spear point, but nice low drop point of German NitroV steel with a handle length of 4.41 inches, multiple handle materials. This one is, as you can see, aluminum. And they also have mercury wood, which looks great and has gold liners so that when you open it up, that really shows that skeleton through really well. They have a blue and black Damascus, but then they have an Ultim or PEI version as well, where you can actually see the black liners and the skeleton through it. We got our reversible tip up and nicely deep carry pocket clip. Oh, nope, non-reversible. I take that back. Right hand tip up pocket clip. So as we talk a little bit more about this knife, let's bring out a couple of size comparisons. And I think Bradley really came up with a cool shape that does work well for EDC. And I'm going to show you a few other Kizer comparisons first, a couple of my favorite Kizers. This is the definitely now has achieved evergreen status Kizer Drop Bear. And as you can see, it's a fair amount bigger than a Drop Bear. How about, whoop, that was my fault, I was riding it. The Kizer Cormorant, a knife I like so much I bought it thrice. So the Kizer Cormorant is also a fair bit smaller. Let's go back to back, and it's got between about 1/3 to 1/2 of an inch on it. Let's look at a penguin. Everybody knows the QSP penguin. This one is the TPK exclusive S90V penguin. Also smaller. We're going to give a TRM comparison just because I love my Neutron 2. And as you can see, fair amount bigger than the Neutron 2. I'm going to grab one more knife that I want to show next to it to give you a... I should have had this knife ready. Here we go. Civivi Vision FG. It's almost the exact same length overall as a Vision FG. Even up to the forward finger choil, about the same grip area. So there's a really good size comparison for it. So, this sounds so good with those aluminum scales. I'm going to give you some acoustics. That blade's got a nice ring to it. Look at all of that jimping. So much usable jimping. So, we've got our drop point of German NitroV steel. NitroV is in the same family as 14C28N or AEBL. So, plenty stainless. It's a very tough steel. Holds an edge for a decent amount of time. Very easy to keep this sharpened up at home. I do want to point out that, we've got this nice 50-50 choil area here. And then here's where it is a long plunge, a long tapering plunge. But our sharpening choil begins after that plunge. So we do have a very nice sharpening choil in there. So it's going to be stainless. The aluminum scales are definitely going to help with that. And it's going to be decently tough for EDC tasks. Let's talk about the action. So we are running on ceramic ball bearings. And this is a button lock, a plunge style button lock that has fantastic action. The front flipper, this is the spring tension on this plunge is tuned fantastically well for this front flipper. You build up, I slipped for the first time. You build up plenty of momentum, plenty of energy before it releases and launches that blade out. And the jimping on this front flipper is done very well. This is the kind of jimping I like to see. It goes all the way up and over, making it very easy to grab. Whoop, my finger got in the way. Very easy for the reach around. Definitely reach around approved. You can hit it with your thumb. You can slow roll. Or you can use your finger however you want. You can probably even... Well, yeah, you could. My hands are shaky right now, but you could do the reverse flip. Now, the action on the plunge is very good. Kizer has been doing plunge locks for a while and doing them well. And this plunge is just under our stop pin. And you can see that right there. I think I had that turned more towards me than you. Let's do that again. So as this blade comes around, get it to release, it's going to, right there where it's cut out for the plunge, is where you can see the gold plunge in there. That is going to drop into that spot in the tang as the drop or the stop pin settles inside of here. And it looks like this acts as a secondary stop pin, right? Nope, it's just support. So, but our stop pin is inside, right inside, deep in there, under the flipper tab. Meaning we have a lot of contact And even out here at the tip of the blade, I have no movement. Side to side, up and down. Very, very good lockup. That's a company that's been working with plunge locks and knows how to do it in a strong and safe manner. Let's talk about the ergos on this coffin-shaped grip. So when I first saw this design, I thought it was a gimmick. You know, I saw the coffin liners. I was like, yeah, that looks cool, especially with the Ultim version. But I didn't think that the knife, honestly, was going to be for me. And that's okay. There's a ton of knives, and even good knives aren't for, you know, the knives aren't made for everybody. But then I got this in hand and actually felt the ergos on this. I just want you to see how this comes up, and then you've got this nice rounded spine, not crowned, but you can see how the blade comes down to a very low point below the center line, or right about the center line of the pivot. That curve nestles with your thumb very comfortably, and then this generous finger choil lets me, and again, jimped all the way out for my thumb out there, makes me feel like I would have a ton of control in, you know, if I needed stronger cuts. But it also makes it comfortable for holding in a pinch grip for draw and utility style cuts. You've got a nice low tip, meaning you can get down really easily, but you do have some belly for cutting on a flat surface. The neutral shape of the handle makes it very comfortable to turn around and cut. And I'm not putting any pressure on that button lock anywhere I grab this, so I'm not worried about that failing at all. You know, I don't typically recommend button locks for your Beef Jerky, Avenger, and Defender knives, but you use what's on you. And in a Beef Jerky Avenger grip, I am capped off on the butt of that blade really well. And I feel like even with the aluminum scales, I'm not going to slide on any Beef Jerky juice. And in a Beef Jerky Defender grip, I'm capped off and I feel even more locked in because of the pocket clip. I feel like this is secure and I'm well away from the edge of that blade. The handle is definitely big enough to get a full 4-finger hammer fist way back behind the pivot, giving you some reach with that blade if you need it. But whether you're up here, right by the pivot, or up here, the knife is comfortable to hold, and I didn't expect that with this shape. I didn't expect it to translate well to this size. I knew it works for traditionals. Man, that action. I didn't expect it to translate. So, it does, and the ergo surprised me enough that I really want to get the Ultim version now. I know, big surprise. If I'm wanting one, I want the Ultim one where I can see the skeleton. But I can see how some folks wouldn't want that, or, you know, just not Ultim fans. And I think that either the aluminum or the wood versions make fantastic options as a backup office carry or even a gents carry knife. So even though this is well over 7.5 inches, 7.62, with the aluminum, because the aluminum is, you know, nice and lightweight scales that I believe you saw are milled out on the inside. And then you've got the skeletonized skeleton liners. This version's only 3.41 ounces. And the Ultim version comes in at like 3.04 ounces. This is a big knife for less than 3.5 ounces, meaning it's not going to weigh you down at the office, but it still looks classy. And you've got a large knife that can be a conversation piece so it doesn't scare your coworkers. Whether it's Friday the 13th, Halloween, or any day, this makes a very cool EDC carry. It surprises me how much I actually like this. And I do plan on getting the Ultim version now. I'm glad I decided to bring this in on the pass around. Now, if I had any negatives, I would say that, I'd like to see T6 pocket screws, but because it's not a reversible pocket, the only time you're going to be taking those off is if you're taking the knife apart, because you do need to remove it to access that body screw. If they could have incorporated the body screw into the clip or just made it so you didn't cover that up so that you can remove it without taking the pocket clip off, I wouldn't mind the T6s as much. But because you are going to have to remove this to take it apart, I do wish that those are T8s and less likely to strip. Ergos, I don't have complaints. I think it's a great blade steel for a budget price. I mean, this is coming in on the Kizer website for $69 in any configuration. So all 4 configurations, under 70 bucks. And you're getting a very cool conversational knife that's also a nice EDC. It's a great blade shape. Oh, it is a flat grind. As you can see, we've got a horizontal satin finish. I am surprised by this knife. Kizer, you guys did a good job. Not that I'm surprised you did a good job. Kizer makes phenomenal knives in budget and premium all around. But Kizer and Bradley Diaz made a believer out of me in the Kizer Tomb. And that's what surprised me. I want to know your thoughts on this. Are you picking up a Tomb? Have you handled one? What do you think about it? The liners are kind of a maybe marketing, maybe just a little gimmick, but it's cool. You had to skeletonize them anyway, so why not do them as a skeleton? Open a coffin, get a skeleton. Yep. As you can see, it has won me over as a very good budget knife option for under $70. Let me know your thoughts. I hope to see you on tomorrow's Tactical Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, stay safe, stay frosty, most importantly, stay deadly.